way you beat a guy like that, you're not going to outbox him. If you're waiting on him and he's initiating and he's feinting you into counters and then he's countering the counter, you're going to lose that fight.
AJ's chin's gone, right? And I'm not saying that I believe that. I don't believe that. I think getting beaten up by Daniel Dubois does not mean your chin's gone, especially when you keep getting up and you managed to rock him late in the fight and you stayed in the fight. And I think Daniel Dubois is a freak like, AJ is a freak. He's a one-off. Jake Paul is not Daniel Dubois. But some people are genuinely giving Jake Paul a chance. That's blowing my mind here.
Now looking at the age difference, we've got 28 years old compared to 36 years old. So I guess the advantage there goes a little bit towards Jake Paul. 28-year-old is better than a 36-year-old.
Max Kellerman recently broke down why he believes Jake Paul has a real chance of beating Anthony Joshua. He says Joshua's talent and championship pedigree are unquestioned, but age and declining explosiveness could hold him back. In contrast, Jake Paul brings youth, stamina, confidence, and relentless pressure. According to Kellerman, if Joshua wants to win, he must rediscover his younger, hungrier self, staying busy, aggressive, and willing to outwork Jake from the opening bell.
And he's feinting you into counters and then he's countering the counter. You're going to lose that fight. Joshua has to impose his size, strength, youth, go to the body. He has to be willing to take certain risks. And if he does that...
Kellerman says Jake Paul genuinely has a real chance to win. Even though many people believe he's risking his life stepping into the ring with a former heavyweight champion like Anthony Joshua, Kellerman focused on Jake's mindset and how much he has evolved in recent years. Paul has fought multiple times under massive pressure, faced different styles, and learned how to stay composed when the spotlight is brightest. Because of this, Kellerman believes Jake won't be nervous at all going into the fight. He's been in big, high-stakes moments over and over again. Kellerman argues that Jake Paul is built for major events and actually performs better when the pressure peaks. He even said Jake has a 100% chance to win, not meaning he's guaranteed to beat Joshua, but that he's fully confident in his preparation, his skills, and the strong team behind him. Some boxing analysts are also predicting a possible upset. Their reasoning is that Joshua is older, his reflexes have slowed, and he no longer carries the same explosive, intimidating style he had during his undefeated prime. In their view, if Joshua can't tap into that old version of himself, he could be in real danger of losing. Intro 3. They argue that although
experience that Jake has gained in the 5 years he's been in the sport, to be in your 12th or 13th fight in front of 80,000 people at AT&T Stadium in front of 125 million viewers, that's not experience you can gain normally. So he's going to go into that event very calm and very composed, and I fully believe that he does 100% think he's going to beat Anthony Joshua, yes.
And what about the weight? Will there be a limit for Joshua?
So there's a lot of discussion around the weight. Joshua fought Usyk twice. Both of those times, Usyk was 221 pounds. Joshua was 240 to 245. When Jake fought Mike Tyson last year, 227 pounds. I expect Jake will come in anywhere between 225 and 230, and Anthony Joshua has a weight limit of 245 pounds.
There will be those, as you're aware, that will look at it and criticise this fight. There already have been, haven't there? They'll say it's a real mismatch. What would you say to them? Are we going to be watching sport at its purest?
I would say it's much less of a mismatch than what you saw with AJ and Francis Ngannou, who a massive man, but relatively no boxing experience. I would say it's much less of a mismatch than AJ's 9th or 10th fight against guys who've been knocked out 20 to 25 times. Given AJ's pedigree, Jake is built for this. Jake is built for the big moments. So do I think it's dangerous for Jake Paul? Absolutely. Do I think it's also dangerous for Anthony Joshua? 100%.
I mean, we're just watching some of these punches being thrown now. Can he take something like that, Jake Paul?
Alexander Usyk took it, right? I think that was a perfect 1-2 combination by Joshua, again, on a fairly stationary fighter in Francis Ngannou, who had a good performance against Tyson Fury. But I don't think Tyson Fury took that fight seriously.
He now fights more cautiously and is more hittable than in his prime. These fans also know how much Jake Paul has improved, showing greater power, sharper fundamentals, and stronger conditioning than in previous years. From their perspective, The age gap and each fighter's recent performances make the matchup far more intriguing and competitive than most initially believed. Intro 4. Tony Jeff, an Olympic...
Incredibly well for Paul. He's not going to land on Joshua, is he? Joshua's going to be far too skilled in evading whatever Jake Paul can throw it.
Because I don't believe he's an evading fighter. I think he's one of those fighters that is extremely powerful to where a fighter is simply afraid. The problem is that all of the pressure's on Joshua at the moment. So Jake Paul, if he gets knocked out in 12 seconds, he should get knocked out. The problem is, as soon as Joshua starts taking damage, all of a sudden he's thinking, the world is watching me, I'm a professional fighter, and I'm getting beat up a YouTuber. All of the pressure is in Joshua, and that's a lot that can weigh on a man.
Jake Paul can't damage him though. Like
people can damage him though. He's went down.
No, people can. Well, people can. Yeah. No, like Alexander Usyk can, Daniel Dubois can, but these are supreme athletes. Jake
completely correct. Yes, there's a difference in someone who's been boxing their entire life versus a YouTuber. I completely understand that, but you can't deny that Jake Paul has power. I think it's one of his only attributes. I think he's a very poor boxer, but what he does have is a weird technique where you don't know.
How do we know he's got power? How do we know he's got power?
He's knocked people out.
What, Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley?
Tyron Woodley was
like,
arguably one of the best UFC fighters there's ever been.
Like,
No, mate, I'm not suggesting that. I'm not suggesting that he's going to go in there and walk Joshua all over. But you can't deny that he has lights out power.
I would deny that. I would deny that he has that kind of power.
In an amateur boxing ring, yeah, fine. Not against a two-time world champ.
I understand the contempt of what I'm saying, and I do see how it is completely stupid thinking a YouTuber could break Anthony Joshua. But the thing is that he's going to be training for this fight. Joshua has all of the world looking on him thinking you should walk him over. If it gets 2 rounds, 3 rounds inside, I think Joshua loses.
Yeah. I think he gets beat.
I mean, I think the pressure will get to him. I think if he loses to Jake Paul, he's the embarrassment to boxing. And if you get inside 3 rounds where you've not put him away like everyone thinks you will, all of a sudden that pressure to finish the fight as he should is going to gain and gain and gain.
Is there any truth in this, James? Can you see a world where Dan's theory is basically this geezer can punch and he therefore has a puncher's chance? I think he's got no chance. A slim, if none.
No,
none. Literally none.
No.
It's one of them, innit? I honestly, without going like extreme, Dan, I think Anthony Joshua, if he could only use one hand, wins the fight. I honestly do.
This is the thing, and I love Joshua. You know, he's arguably the pride of Britain when it comes to boxing. He's a great fighter. But could you say he's past his best? Could you say that he's been tested too many times? The thing that it relates to me is when you look at Silva in the UFC, as soon as he got knocked out, his chin became glass. And I think that's the same with Joshua. I don't think he can take a punch anymore. I think he's one of those people where it's almost, he damages way too easy now. And it's one of those things where I think when you're a boxer and you've had a few defeats and you've had
a different perspective on why Jake Paul should be taken seriously. He explained that Jake has access to every resource a top-level fighter could want. Elite trainers, high-level conditioning coaches, sports psychologists, nutritionists, and top-tier sparring partners. With his financial backing, Jake can build a flawless training camp without cutting corners. Jeff also noted that Jake understands this is the toughest challenge of his career, so he'll be more motivated and focused than ever. On top of that, Jake holds a clear age advantage. Jeff emphasized that in boxing, youth is one of the biggest assets. Young fighters recover quicker, train harder, and often enter the ring stronger and more energetic. Intro 5. Meanwhile, many analysts highlighted a different issue.
The age difference, we've got 28 years old compared to 36 years old. So I guess the advantage there goes a little bit towards Jake Paul. 28-year-old is better than a 36-year-old. But that being said, we've got talking about experience and everything else. What comes with being 36 years old at Anthony Joshua's level. And then, like I mentioned, the heavyweights kind of seem to prime a little bit older. They'll come down to the height and the weight. This is the big one. 6'1" versus 6'6". 200 pound versus 252 pound. We've got a 252 pounder in Anthony Joshua. The reach advantage is a lot, which we would expect. Amateur fights, we can see that Jake's only had one, where each is at 43, but 43 of them are included at the highest level, Olympic level. And yes, He won the Olympic bloody gold medal, if I don't need to remind you. Then the pro record, Jake Paul has had 13 fights, lost 1. AJ has had 28 fights and he's lost 4. 25 KOs. And the one person that Jake Paul lost to was Tommy Fury. Now, can we compare Tommy Fury with Anthony Joshua? Not at all. It's like night and day. So now I'm going to talk about the rules of this fight, and I'll give you my prediction, which is going to shock a lot of people after this. So, what are the rules? The fight will take place at a heavyweight, obviously. It's going to be 8 3-minute rounds. You might think, well, that's better for Jake Paul, and I'm thinking, not really, it's better for Anthony Joshua because he's just going to go all out for them 8 3-minute rounds. And imagine that, Anthony Joshua blasting at you, 6'6", whatever he is, 250 pounds, throwing big bombs at you. Anyway, both fighters will be using 10-ounce gloves for the duration of the contest. Why have they got that on there? It says both fighters will be wearing 10-ounce gloves for the duration of the contest. What do they expect? Them to take them off halfway through and switch them to 12s. I guess these days, anything happens in boxing, right? The boys will follow similar rules to Jake Paul and Mike Tyson in November, but that fight was 8 2-minute rounds and 40-ounce gloves. Not similar if it's smaller gloves and 2-minute rounds. Who wrote this for the zone? It marks the first time Joshua will have contested less than 10 rounds.
But about the state of boxing itself, they argue that the sport created the situation. Despite Anthony Joshua being a former world champion and Olympic gold medalist, his biggest payday is coming from Jake Paul's offer. That shows Jake brings more attention, money, and public interest than many top heavyweight contenders. Experts believe that when a crossover star can generate a bigger purse than a traditional title fight, it proves how much the sport has shifted. And in that case, you can't blame fighters for choosing the biggest paycheck available. Many fans also claim Joshua can't take punches anymore, saying his chin is gone after knockout losses. But one analyst explained that losing to elite heavyweights like Daniel doesn't automatically mean Jake Paul will beat him. Joshua still has world-class technique, serious knockout power, and years of high-level experience. Critics are exaggerating his decline. If Joshua stays disciplined, focused, and uses his strengths properly, he still has every ability to win this fight convincingly. Intro 6. Anthony Yarde delivered a more aggressive warning, telling Joshua not to underestimate Jake Paul and to treat the fight seriously. He said,
Jake Paul, and this is the real funny thing, he's giving Anthony Joshua, Jake Paul is giving Anthony Joshua, the heavyweight legend, right, in our lifetime, his career high payday. Jake Paul is a fucking A-side. Jake Paul is saying, you're gonna be a 245 maximum, motherfucker. Like, Jake Paul's giving orders here. Jake Paul's first on the fucking headline. Like, that is also blowing my mind. Even Eddie Hearn said in an interview earlier this week, he's gonna get more for this than he's gonna get to fight Tyson Fury if the Fury fight happens. Like, and speaking of Tyson Fury, and this brings me on to you, Joey Knight. How the fuck has Tyson Fury let Jake Paul put the gloves on and get in there with Anthony Joshua before he did? How are you gonna fucking look your mate in the eye?
Fury probably had the offer, mate. He's not into the old circus shows. You know what I mean? He's not into that malarkey.
Oh my god.
He's probably fuming that his brother didn't get the fight, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But listen, I don't know, man. Like, I look at this fight with Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua, and you constantly hear it. You heard it with Mayweather and McGregor, and you hear it with so many fights. Does it damage their legacy? I would like you to give me an example of a time someone's legacy has been damaged. From an individual fight. Yeah. No, but in Ngannou Fury ain't really, has it? Like, what I'm saying is, I think that having fights over a prolonged period of time, like Roy Jones Jr., that can damage your legacy. But a one-off fight where realistically you're not going to take no damage. But then
stay focused, because Jake is excellent at creating hype and turning any matchup into a global spectacle. According to Yarde, that showmanship can distract opponents or make them overly relaxed. If Joshua enters the fight too comfortably, Yarde believes Jake Paul could catch him off guard. Intro 7. Daily Paralish delivered one of the strongest reactions to the announcement of Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua, and his concern was focused entirely on Jake. Paralish said he simply couldn't...
Hell, does it not?
Absolutely. I mean, you literally go into survival mode because of the size difference. You know, you question your manhood, the lot. Everything goes out the window because, like I say, the power of just a jab. And bearing in mind, when you spawn bigger guys, you must have been in the gym, Joe. You spawn people below and above. So, you know, if you're the bigger guy, you bring the power down, you take your time. And AJ was essentially taking his time. And even just flicking out that hand, flicking out that jab, the force is crazy. So I really do feel for Jake Paul. On power, that's what I mean. People have been ringing in talk sport, these boxing experts.
Enormous risk against a fighter as dangerous as Joshua. To him, this isn't just another big event or a clever marketing move. This is a fight that could genuinely put Jake in real physical danger. He highlighted the most obvious but often overlooked factor: size and punching power. Joshua isn't just any heavyweight. He's a former unified world champion with serious knockout ability. Par Alesh warned that standing in front of a man who hits as hard as Joshua is a completely different level of risk from anything Jake has ever experienced. Even one clean shot from Joshua, he said, could change the entire fight instantly. While he admitted Jake has improved and carries strong self-belief, Peralez's main message was caution. This matchup, in his view, isn't about hype or pay-per-view numbers. It's about safety. He stressed that Jake is stepping into the most dangerous challenge of his career, and the consequences, if things go wrong, could be far more serious than fans realize. Intro 8. The boxing world has expressed strong concern, warning that Jake Paul is stepping into enormous danger. Many believe he could be seriously hurt facing a natural heavyweight like Anthony Joshua, a fighter.
If Joshua lands clean on Jake Paul's chin, he could end up in a very bad way. So I know it's all entertainment and they're going to break records and Netflix and all that kind of stuff, but we have to understand the dangers that are involved in boxing. And, you know, that's why I say people got to respect Jake Paul for doing this, because he's at risk.
A big risk indeed. I saw something that David Hay was saying where people were kind of worrying for Jake Paul, and David Hay was like, well, he's only going to take a lot of damage if he goes and gets beaten up for 12 rounds. He just gets knocked out in one punch. That's probably one of the best things that can happen in terms of taking the least damage possible.
Yeah, David Hay is right, but also one punch can end your life as well. So you got the two sides. Yeah, he could get badly beaten up if it went 12 rounds, which can be worse.
They argue that while Jake is undeniably brave, bravery doesn't change the harsh physical realities of heavyweight boxing. One clean punch from Joshua, they say, could end the fight instantly. To these analysts, Jake is entering a level of danger far beyond anything he has experienced before. However, other experts see a different side. They believe Jake Paul's confidence will work in his favor. They say his entire boxing journey has been built on proving doubters wrong, and he tends to perform best when he's underestimated. They also note that Jake has never shied away from major challenges, and this fight is simply another example of him stepping boldly into something massive. Intro 9. That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for more updates, and we'll see you in the next one.
Paul has lost his mind. This is probably the worst mistake of his career. Even in the poster, you can see this is a David and Goliath story here. I mean, there's times where I thought Jake is a cruiserweight. There's times where I thought even he could be a light heavyweight. And now he's stepping in with one of the most chiseled, bona fide heavyweights in the world right now in Anthony Joshua. I'm about to break the internet over Jake Paul's face. I'm not sure if that makes any sense, but it sounds fucking demented, terrifying. And speaking of the insanity of this thing, here is what the first line is. Jake as a plus 800. I have a feeling that's going to shift even more toward AJ. AJ's the 18-wheeler going 90 down the straightaway, and Jake is in a fucking golf cart going 10 miles an hour, headed right back at the 18-wheeler. It's going to be freaking destruction. Look at the reach. He's got a 6-inch reach on Jake, and trust me, the Chloe concept has told me the 6.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for more updates, and we'll see you in the next one.